Before we begin, we'd just like to apologize to Miss Schmidt, who heard us rehearse this like 40 times during our free period.
Sorry.
Well, if you haven't met Ben, you've certainly heard him.
Screaming in Huss.
The lunchroom.
The brand new state-of-the-art Killing Center.
Outside.
Inside. Every side.
Hi, I'm Ben's chauffeur.
And I'm Ben's passenger.
And we're here today to introduce Ben Atmore, or as he likes to be called, Batmore.
Like Batman, but more.
Speaking of bats, here's some other cool things. Ben made a spoon.
Ben made a fork.
When it was raining outside, Ben poured some hot coffee on himself to warm up.
It sent him to the hospital.
Extra cozy. To the next speaker of today's assembly.
A friend.
A friend, but more.
Ben Friendmore.
In the world we live in, there is anger. In the world we live in, there is hate. In the world we live in, there are lies and corruption and deceit and mistrust and belligerence. We, as American citizens, are lucky that we live in a country where we are allowed to say these things, where we are allowed to show our disgust with those in power. However, there are those of less fortune, those who live under the ruling of corrupt dictators who share no power and who govern without regard for their citizens. I am extremely lucky. Either that or whatever higher power out there is looking out for me. These are the many reasons for which I count my blessings, because I'm privileged. I'm really, really privileged. I've known that for some time now, and earlier this year I realized that I'm an immigrant. I know this might sound like a fact I should have realized earlier than 18 years into my life, but I had always taken for granted the fact that I lived in America, and was therefore endowed with all of the rights which an American citizen is owed. I was adopted from Kremenchuk, Ukraine, when I was 11 months old. I was born Yevgeny Ivanovich Svirnov. I was put up for adoption, whether it be for economic reasons, family disputes, I do not know. I do not know my mother's name. I only know my father's name because I was named after him. I am the fourth child of my birth parents. I was born in a country which was struggling out of a depression caused by its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. My parents were most likely poor, below the poverty line. I do not resent my birth parents for giving me up. Rather, I thank them. Because when Jamie McConnell adopted me, I was brought to America. I was then adopted by my other dad, William Atmore. This was done because the Ukrainian government would never allow two gay men to adopt a child. I was brought to a place where I would know when my next meal was coming, and I was guaranteed heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. I consider myself extremely fortunate that I live in the United States of America, where the first edit which was made to our Constitution was the allowance of criticism. That freedom of speech, that freedom which is so fundamental to our society, allows schools like ours, based on discussion, to exist. However, one must not take this discussion to a boiling point. It is this fear of straying too far, this fear of having too extreme an opinion, which led to the election of our current president. His antagonistic foreign policy has put us at odds, not just with other countries, but within our own. What won him the presidency was his outright division of our country on basic fundamental issues. By no means am I trying to divide this community with this speech. After all, what can I do? Who am I? I'm just some immigrant yelling at a bunch of other kids in a bubble. Yes, we go to a primarily white school. Yes, our school lunches are 1,000,000 times better than public school lunches. Yes, indeed, one man gave our school $15 million to build a math and science center. People who don't even know about us care so much about the education of the generations to come and have the confidence that we will take full advantage of the facilities within. I am attempting to do what many other senior speeches have tried to do. However, I simply wish to go about it a different way. You can talk all you want in Harkness discussions. Or you can spend the entire class period thinking about a response to the new topic because your question was already posed. But while the Harkness model is praised for being a platform on which students can share their thoughts, it also breeds competition, which breeds discord, because he said something really smart and I don't want to ask a stupid question, or she said something really powerful and I don't want to be viewed by my classmates as a bigot because I disagree with her. These ideas separate us, when the last thing we need is division. The Dalai Lama said in a tweet on the 4th of November, "If we were really to see one another as brothers and sisters, there would be no basis for division, cheating, and exploitation among us. Therefore, it's important to promote the idea of the oneness of humanity, that in being human, we are all the same." Now, I'm not saying that we all have to be siblings and have one huge family-style dinner around an elongated Harkness table set up in the dining hall, although that might be fun. I am simply reaching out to all of you to be kinder to one another, to accept each other's opinions, because you don't know where another person is coming from, and you can't put yourself in another person's shoes, so to speak. My favorite voice actor, Matthew Mercer, said in a Fireside Q&A live stream that allowing yourself that ability to give people the benefit of the doubt and that perspective makes it a lot easier not to take the things they say to heart and to step away, and that opens empathy for others. I originally wanted to make my senior speech a lighthearted but genuine speech about how I learned empathy, a basic human emotion, from Dungeons & Dragons. And while I still think that playing role-playing games is the best thing in the world, it offers a unique perspective on the whole putting yourself in another person's shoes idea. Because when you are role-playing, you are literally playing a different person. This person has a completely different story than you, which informs their actions and reactions. So ultimately, this speech is an invitation to exchange stories and viewpoints on any number of topics. I have an incredibly different story than most of the students here. I grew up with 2 dads in an all-male, incredibly liberal household. I believe that guns in any form should be kept out of schools. I believe that students who menstruate should be supplied free of charge with quality hygiene products in school bathrooms. I believe that no human is illegal. I believe that anyone found guilty of sexual assault should go to prison. I believe in the death penalty for persons found guilty of high treason. I believe that police officers who have killed an unarmed citizen should be relieved of their jobs and dealt with in a court of law as if they were normal citizens. I believe that the Confederate battle flag holds the same power and symbolism of xenophobia as the swastika now has. I believe in that fundamental right that we as American citizens are endowed to speak freely and oppose our government's decisions. I believe these things, and I also understand that many of you might disagree with some or a lot or all of what I've just said. But please know that I am sincere when I tell you that these statements are invitations, not provocations, to learn more about each other. I may not change your mind, and you may not change mine, but we will both have gained priceless insights into how others think and perceive the world. After all, school is a place where people come to learn, not only from teachers, but from their peers. And that is my hope, and my request for all of you is to learn. Thank you.